Well, this is a question I get asked all the time at live events, online, emails, and that is, how do you find your niche? And more importantly, how do you find a niche that's both profitable and something you can be absolutely passionate about? All right, this video is how do you find your niche? Now that could be either for your business or for books or for writing. And how do you find something that's not only profitable, but something that has a large client base and something you are passionate about as well? So, well, I have two basic strategies to figure this out. And before diving into them, I think it's important that you don't enter into a market that doesn't have money, first of all. And that may sound really, really basic, but I can't tell you how many times people argue with me after I tell them that right away, and then they go on to tell me about how the people in this niche are cheap, they don't listen, they don't implement, or whatever the big excuse is, and then they don't have a lifestyle and they can't help either as well. So my rule is this: don't work with broke or broken people. That's not a business. That's what a charity is for. And don't try to make your business a charity. Okay? So once you have an audience and a platform and are financially successful, whatever the definition of that is for you, then you can focus on delivering value and support for the broken. And ideally, and this comes from lots of personal experience, don't create your own nonprofit. Work with one that already exists and support them. They've gone through all the headaches of doing that, and that by itself is a full-time job as well. And the other thing that I found is people who work with broken people end up resenting the people who they're trying to help in the first place because they wind up broken as well. So now that we got that sad one out of the way, let me get into the next big idea, and that is creating a real business that you can create marketing content and materials for that work on an ongoing basis when you aren't. And if the very thing that you're trying to create requires that you're part of it every step of the way, you don't have a business. What you have is a job, and most likely it's a low-paying job. Okay? So what does that mean for you? Well, first of all, I always recommend entering into a crowded market. I've frequently heard from people, especially if they're writing books, saying, oh yeah, well I don't want to enter into that. There's already too many experts there. And my answer is that's great, because people who are ravenous about a topic buy, watch, read, listen to everything related to that. They're always looking for another voice, especially one that they can relate and connect with even more. So there's a high probability you can become friends with and associated with the celebrities in your marketplace who will gladly lend you some of theirs. It's very common, okay? The next one is when you're in that space, again, everyone's going through different cycles in their life. So something that you have to share, your own personal core story, might be something that that audience really resonates with, okay? And when there's buzz in a market, you don't have to be responsible for creating it, versus if you're starting up in an area that is brand new. So people who are interested in stuff and get obsessive with it are the ones you want in your space. So here's what I'm going to give you in terms of the key strategies. Strategy number one is focus on a business, ideally, that you already have some level of success with. So whatever you've been doing for a period of time, build on top of that, okay? And definitely check out my chapter in my book, Publish and Profit. It's on page 55, which is called Who is Your Book For? You can definitely get a copy of this book by just heading on over to youeverywherenow.com. But there is a whole chapter on finding and identifying your perfect customer. So that's all part of strategy number one. Strategy number two is find something that you're passionate about and interested in. Okay? So you want to find something that you're curious and passionate about the topic, you're actively learning about it already, and you're inspired about the thought of creating a product or a service that revolves around that topic. And you're willing to go in it for the long haul as well. So in this particular model, what you're doing is actually becoming an expert right in front of your audience. So you're transparent in your process and you become a hero in your own transformational story as you grow and become an expert. This is also known as the reporter model. That means you're going to actively go out, seek out, and interview other experts in the field and research them. You can read their books, you can attend conferences, which I think is about the best way to do it. Go to TED Talks or watch as many TED Talks as you can, and find successful people already in that space that you can model and document their systems and processes. One thing that does happen is, for most people, once they start getting successful at something, they start learning less. They're focused on their business, building it and maintaining and managing it. That is an opportunity for you to out-engineer them and out-innovate them as well. And that's why being fresh blood can sometimes be a really, really good example. Okay? So the other thing that you want to do inside of these models is find someone who already has a business and maybe build on top of that. So if you can find someone who could use your particular help, your experience, your expertise, you might be able to go in as an expert in that business, not even have to start something from scratch. You may not have to start and learn from scratch, but you'd be able to grow in, fill in a particular segment, and maybe you can start building an audience or implement whatever it is that's unique about you. So I'm going to give you an example right now of something that I've done under category number 2, which is my transparent process. And that is, I started my own interactive online TV show. It's called The Mike Koenig Show. And what happened in that is I had a dream, a vision of creating an online video podcast, a live show, and something that would look and feel like television. Well, for about 20 years, I've been thinking about some variation on this model, but I got the opportunity to really do it. I took about 4 months to really sit down and think hard about how this segment would come together, what kind of sets and lights and equipment I'd need, what kind of a team I'd need. And over the course of time, creating what is now approaching 20 episodes since I started and where I am right now, every single episode changed dramatically. And anyone in my community who I've spoken with about this, I've been very transparent, saying, look, what I thought I knew and what I ended up doing and what I've done is very, very different. But people really appreciate being authentic and being real with them and showing your journey. And the kinds of videos that get seen and viewed the most online today, especially on YouTube, are those that show a process where your audience feels like they're participating in some way, shape, or form. So that's my advice for you in terms of how do you identify a niche. Again, I went a little bit deep with it, but I just want you to think longer range on this. Instead of just taking on something that could be a temporary fix, looking at it from a long-term perspective. What's something that you can take on, get involved with, that might last 10 or even 25 years? Once you start building an organization, a business, your content, the time goes by quickly. And the more you know about it, the more you think about your long-term outcome, I think the better the decisions that you make are going to be. All right, for more information on how to be seen, heard anywhere, anytime, any device on demand, head on over to youeverywherenow.com. And something that I would love is if you would subscribe to this video right now, post a comment, and share it with your friends.